What games did you play as a child?
As a child, the games we played mostly, we'd say when I was year age, the boys and the girls, we seldom played together. But the boys usually, in my age, there was a fellow by the name of Hopalong Cassidy. He was beyond the films. He was a cowboy. And that's the games we used to play. Cowboys and Indians. And of course the cowboys always beat the Indians. So you had to be a cowboy. So I'd be there and I wanted to be a Hopalong Cassidy, because Hopalong Cassidy had 2 guns and you could shoot what Indians are there. And the Indians in my day had bow and arrows, which we made ourselves. Do you know who Hopalong Cassidy? Never have a Hopalong Cassidy. No. We must get old films. Hopalong Cassidy was our hero. All the cowboys were. And we should always play cowboys and Indians. That's from the boys. The girls. Oh yeah, another game we had was Conquest. Do you know what Conquest is? That's the game. I'll show you how to play Conquest sometime. You get your chestnut teeth, probably called, and you put them in a swing, right? And you had a good one. And you give your man 3 shots. And if you broke your conker, he was the winner. So you got 3 shots, if you broke his conker, he was the winner. The girls mostly played a thing called cobby. You ever hear of it? No.
Cobby house.
Cobby, now you have it. And what they used to do with the girls, they go around and, because usually below here, this is our playground down here on the green. I lived just over there when I was born. And they played cobby. They had a first shop every year for a week. So that's what they played. They'd be going around, they collect bits of china, like broken mugs and cups and things like that, and they put them out like that. They pretend they were in the house and they were pretending to be drinking tea and all that. That's what the girls played.
Do you amuse yourself in a special way or sometimes up to you?
Well, usually stealing apples was a good thing. We had no apples for sale in the shop. So we had to get into there was a couple of orchards around the place. Looking over the wall, they'd do that. But when we got a bit older, below where the hall is, we got our first modern cinema down there. There's a fellow come from Clonmel in the van, and he bring on the pictures with us. That's where Hopalong Cassidy would below, and Hopalong Cassidy would be behind the van, or behind the big stone. The Indians would be coming there, would be shouting, behind you, watch out the Indians. That was our first. It cost 3 pence to go to that pictures, which is about half a cent now, but we hadn't 3 pence. And if we got 3 pence over, 3 pennies was a little bronze time, and that was 3 pence. It cost 3 pence to go to that. For those were our cinemas and our modern communications. That was it. And of course, half the time, the table was right halfway with us and sit down in the middle and put the bowling in. But below in the broken hall, that big hall around there, that was our cinema.
Did you tell stories while sitting down the fire in winter?
Well, I didn't tell it, but there was a man here, he was Daily Neagle was his name, he related to Devon's way back, and he used to tell us ghost stories. About there, in that little house that was up there, if you look just up the road there, I'm show you where the families were born. But he tells us ghost stories. And I definitely would be afraid of my life today from there to go down to my house. There'd be ghost stories that time. There'd be people coming down with sheets on them and frightened their lives out of us that time with ghosts. You didn't hear them. And at this time of the year now, I'm not go too far, with the old people, this is a very scary time for them. May was, we'd say, to go back to pagan religions. And they used to be very afraid of fish oaks. Anyone hear of fish oaks?
Yeah.
And May Eve, they'd always go around the lot would go around the property and they get the holy water and they shave it in the holy water. Because they could run into a very bad look if the fish oaks arrived around there. Fish oaks. It was a pagan thing.
What town were you from?
There's this place, I think, called Dare would be the name of the place, I don't know where I was. But I was born here in Churchway. I was just born on board here. But Dare, Cappawhite was usually Cappawhite or Cappawhite, we usually called it this. That time you must remember that we had no maps or anything like that. You know what I mean? That we didn't go into this different towns and all that. We were just from Cappawhite and that was it. Like, you know what I mean? But there is different mountains around it, you know. The house I lived down there now is a stone house. If you look at it below, it's just below the baker there on the right hand side with a slate house in it. But galvanized, you know what galvanized is? That sheet metal that goes over and down. Yeah, that came in after the touch, you know what I mean? The touch that time. All the houses were touched, I suppose, years ago. But I can't remember it being touched around here. I'd say years across the road that was touched. You know where Dr. Johnnie's there. I can remember a thatched house in there, all right, you know what I mean?
So thatch wasn't very prevalent
Not around here in my time.
in the 20s and 30s, kind
Not
of.
in my time now. No, not in my time. It was galvanized states. That's a few
Okay.
around the place. There's a few of them around. No, they came into that time. But I'd say not people out of the country had thatched houses, you know what I mean? And there's still a few around.
Do you know any Irish?
Very easy. That's what I like to do. Irish was, if you go back, how we say, I'm just tracing back to my grandmother's time, when she went to school, Irish was forbidden in her time to be taught in school. Like, you know what I mean? And that came down to us. So when I was here, we were never taught Irish here. We were never taught Irish in this school. But when I went to the secondary school, I learned a small little bit of Irish.
Were houses more numerous in former times?
No, there's more houses built now than there ever was. You know what I mean? If you look at all the big estates that's around the place. When I was a young fella, there were probably 11 people lived in two rooms. Now there is 2 people living in 11 rooms. So if you look at it, when I was born below there in the house, there was 8 of us. No, I know it was. My father, my mother, 10. There was 11 of us living down. That's in 2 rooms.
People immigrated from there to America or elsewhere for informal years.
Definitely, in my time, England was the place. Every one of us, I think, if I remember rightly, all my brothers and my sisters were in England at one time. Every one of us were in England.
Did you go, Johnny?
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Do you remember when you went? Do you remember that time?
I remember we got like, time is getting long. I arrived in England, my uncle took me over there, right? And I was small like he. And the first test I got to know, my hands tipped the bottom of the sink. I get the job washer up, right? But where was it? In Buckingham Palace. That's the executive head of us. I get 2 years there.
In Buckingham Palace?
Yeah, with my sisters, yeah.
How'd you get there?
We got on a steam train, choo, out in Dundrum. We haven't, and you know the steam train is, you do? And we got a boat in above in Dublin, all the way over, and got another steam train over in England. It took us nearly over a full day to get to London that time. Yeah. You can go from here to America now in a bit of a day. It would take us nearly a day and a half. A night, the boat would be at night, and take another 4 or 5 hours to go to London. I was in London in like 15 or 16.
Any rivers, lake, or streams?
That's another thing. There's a place called the Line River out here, right? And then there's the Cappawhite River. And that's where we used to go swimming. If we wanted to go swimming, we'd go out, the bigger fellas would go out and they'd block the river outside.
Block it?
Block it with,
Dam it?
damn it, yeah, and that was our swimming pool.
How was the local fair held?
In my time, we got a day off during the fair. Because the fair was held alone in the village, right? And the farmers would be bringing in their cattle at night time or during the day. And they stack them up outside the houses like that. And they'd be minding them there all day for the cattle. And then they'd be going selling them below. They'd sell them below at Hinches, there where Hinches were. This is my time, below there. And the cattle would be brought in and they'd be going around one at a time and they'd be buying them and selling them, right? That's where below. But before my mother's time was in the fairs used to be held here on the Breen. We used to call this the Breen, as you know there. And the fairs would be held there. And the farmers would be coming in there where they could get their cattle into the best positions, get them up high where people could see them. And when the cattle were in the best positions, you probably got a bit nicer. Right? And if we wanted to earn a few shillings then that evening when the fair, of course there was cattle mostly, then there was horses, and then there was pigs and butters. You know the butter you do. Yeah? If a butter got out of the car at all, we'd be out running after the butter to catch the butter because we get 6 months if we got the butter and put him back in the car. That's what the issue gave. In the evening time then, the farmer would be after buying his cattle and he'd have to take them home. And most places he could take, the railway station was in Dundrum. which is 6 miles away. So the 4 or 5 of us get together, and there was a tow walking in the village chairs, a loader man, and we get 6 pence for driving, walking all the way to Dungong and back. Those are the fairs. Cattle, pigs and horses. Big day out, place fully packed. There were 2 or 3 people selling sandwiches and making tea and spoken hard about the big food there and all the farms. That's what the big day. One of the biggest fairs around was here in Cappawhite. A fair day. And the fair was that time, that's the only way they had to sell the cattle. At the end of the fair day.
Our animals marked and sold.
As far as I remember, they had a small little disc, a little paper disc, and it was glued, and they stick it onto the back of the cow.
Okay, so it was glued onto the cow at that point.
Yes, glued onto the cow, there's no cow, yeah. Well, the farmers always run their own cows, you know what I mean? But when they go to sell them, they'd all be stamped to be cow number, then it'll be 21, 22, 23, or 24. That's flock it, there's no in, you know.
Of what does each meal consist?
Well, porridge was a great thing that time for us. Porridge. That would be our main meal. Fresh meat would be very scarce. And so it's mostly into bacon and cabbage and things like that. But fresh meat, there was no such thing as a butcher, I'd say. I wouldn't know butcher coming here, alright. But butcher was Scotland in my head. So my dad would they would know if butcher wasn't just do it to town. But everyone kept the pig that time. You know what I mean? They got the pig. Made their black puddings that time, which were another. Not that they had that pudding. Mostly, it was mostly in our time, especially before my time, it was mostly bacon and things like that.
Potatoes eaten with everything.
Oh God, you can say that again. The potatoes kept us alive. Like, yes, you'll never see the potatoes. But for the potatoes they kept us alive.
Did you drink milk?
You would drink, yeah, you had to get this, yeah. If the people had them, if they had them, like, you know what I mean? Remember people were very poor then, like, you know, money was scarce.
But you'd have a cow, even a farmer would have he'd have the milking cow for the house.
The farmer would, all this had to be bought from the farmer, you know what I mean? But my mother kept a goat. She kept a goat, my mother, with a goat and the baby. When she was married, she'd always said to herself, the best present she ever got, that's what she got. She got a present of a goat when she got married. That's what she gets. And so, of course, the key did was meat as well, like, you know what I mean, young goat. And of course, we had, now that you're talking about food, when the farmer goes that time to the train, he'd bring back what we call sour milk. You could drink as much as that if you like, the farmers would let you have that. But when they were baking the bread, they had to have that milk. So the milk coming back, then when they went for the farmers to come back, especially when I moved down the road to the Smiths, we go down, there'd be a big tub of oil, of milk, sour milk. You stick your head into that in and drink away. Oh, nice.
Did people sit around, was the table kind of in the centre, or would you have a kind of
It would be, the table would be a timber table, yeah. The chairs then were so-gone chairs, yeah, you know the so-gone chairs? No, like a butter box. And you know what a butter box is? No. That's what we said.
What was a butter box? So tell them what a butter box
A
was.
butter box was the butter would come into the shop that time, and the butter box would be nice little square butter box like that. And if the shopkeeper gave it to you, then you would see it. So you turn the box upside down and set it. That was your seat. Where I came from, that's what I was seat. And of course, if you broke your boat, if you got it, we got out of the jam job in. And it's half a pint to tea out of the jam job, because the jam job would be hot. But the next time you got a mug, you would break it.
what kind of bread was it?
The bread in my time, my mother used to break was in flour. The flour used to come in bags, and they'd buy the bags of flour, and she'd bake bread in a pot, it's called a vegetable.
A bastable.
A vegetable, yeah. There was a vegetable. What was the pot was called? Anyway, vegetable. It was called a vegetable. The bread would be inside, and the peas would be on top, and they get the seeds in, and they put it on top. It was a lovely white bread. Yeah.
Was meat often eaten?
If we had it, yeah. Eggs, now was another great field of us. You know what I mean? The big eggs. The eggs, they were another great field of us. That's if you had a day. When Easter would come, we were talking about gold, when Easter would come, if you got 2 eggs of the Easter mom, you were going to it. They were buying a skillet of the pot. It was called a skillet. And they were buying inside that. We'd be all they're my 2 eggs, that's my egg. No, that's your egg. We want to get our eggs. That was Easter Sunday with our eggs.
It was fishing.
Yes. With the sport at winter time. Every time the winter come, they'd salmon come up the rivers. It was illegal to catch it. But we were going at night and we used to catch them with a lamp. And we had a special spear for us. And we'd spear the salmon. And we had plenty of fish there. And if anyone was interested in fishing, they go fishing and bring them back to us. But we never got fish from the sea or that we were too far in. And they never sold it. But in the winter time, they have the salmon. And they come up.
Did you eat vegetables?
Oh, we did. Plenty of cabbage and foods. That's what you had. Carrots and things like that would be very rare. And passionate and things in the garden. But there's mostly cabbage. Would be the cabbage. And you had to drink the cabbage water. You weren't left out and you drank them over that. Give you iron, I said. I don't know what to do. Give us a life in there.
Are there any towers in the district?
That was the one now below at home. That's the only one we had. And I think that was the church. But there is a castle, as you see, about the Holy. You know, just out there in any castle, there's one more. What I don't know, can you going to see?
Ballysheedy Castle.
Ballysheedy, yeah, that's the only one I know. And there's one outside that village, Ballycapty, that was an army barracks, wasn't it?
Yes.
Just as you go through there.
Tell me stories about the first colony.
All I heard was what that time, I remember religion was banned and churches were closed. You weren't allowed to go to church or anything like that. And they used to have, actually the schools were there at one time, so you couldn't have schools. And like they had hate schools, you know what I mean?
It was Catholics. It was very much Catholic religion.
Anti-Catholic religion, or Irish language. That was completely. They came in, they were going to make us more English than the English. But we turned the English around and we made them more Irish than the Irish. So that's what I tell you what happened at that time.
Has your district been connected with any movements in our system?
Well, my name is Breen, and we'll say, if you talk about recent history, we'll say the War of Independence and all that, we'll say if you ever write or talk about it, a book on Dan Breen. He was a local IFM, and I've actually a frame of a picture of him below on this, on the video, I showed it sometime. He wanted from over in Ireland, just to go on shooting the English soldiers and things like that. So he would be, they did sit part of the barracks here, you know, during that time.
The black and tan time.
Yeah.
What are the biggest changes that you see since you were a child? What's the biggest massive change?
When you look at the school we have here, look at it compared to what I have. The toilets was out the back here, the stone wall, that was it. There was no wooden chains. There was no toilet paper. That was it. No heating. There was nothing to eat. You know, unless you watch your one switch with that kind of product country. You sat down with your bottle of milk. The new housing and the transport, the cars. Like when we would go playing in the street below there, there's a car coming, that's Johnie. Now when I get up in the morning, I walk out to the guy, there's about 20 cars left in the road. Like it has changed, the country has changed completely. You know what I mean? All for the better. You know what I mean? It's great to see such a lovely country and see such lovely places you have here. You don't appreciate it and things like that. And I'd be always talking about the punishment we had here. Like, you didn't do too much wrong here when you were going to school. But I tell you one thing, if you did, if you crossed the line, you would remember it for a long, long time. That's what I was here. Now, if you went to your mom, you get your lessons there in the night time, to do them in the morning. He'd ask you the lessons to see what you're doing. And you got slapped if you didn't do them. You got slapped if you didn't know. And you got slapped if you were bored. And you got slapped if you did nothing at all. Like, you know what I mean? It was very regimental that when we went to school. He was one of the few that had to sleep, like, you know what I mean? The girls said that now with this kind of, they were different. But anyway, that was the school. And the modern times, look at the lovely houses here when you go home. Look at the television. Like I said, the first time I saw a picture of a woman was a woman in a white wall belonging to school, belonging to local law. Like, and you have iPhones and modern phones. So there's only one phone in Cappawhite, I'd say, one to the girls' barracks and maybe one to the doctor. Only all of them open glass and bowls.
Yeah, that hard on
I did, I used to build a big hill on the place with the husband. Yeah, out there every day outside the husband. There, yeah. Hey, now I'll ask you a question. What would you like to see in the future? You see what I'd like to see? What would you like to see in the future? Any good answer there? Well?
more hard.
More?
Even more hurling.
You would like life. Enjoy it.